Hey everybody, this video, it's not going to be a very long video, but I would like to talk about the two witnesses. Alright, so what do we know about the two witnesses in Revelation? They wander the earth for 1260 days. Alright, what else do we know? Well, there's two of them. So, 2 times 1260. Nobody said the two witnesses had to be at the same time. Now, what else do we know about them? 1260, 42 months. Alright, so 1260 times 2, what is it? $25.20. Now, this number is very important. Seven-year tribulation. 2 sets of 1260. 2 sets of 42 months. These are 360-day years, and in the Egyptian calendar, they would always have an extra 5 days for each of these 360-day years. So 5 times 7 equals 35. Okay? So then, that's not it. 2520. What is important about it? Sacred cubit. $25.20 equals 25.20 inches for the sacred cubit inside the royal chamber of Giza. What about the 42 months? 42 months is equivalent to 3.5 years. 42 months is equivalent to the amount of time it takes to create wine. Grapes of wrath. 7-year tribulation. It takes 42 months to get a good crop, a good harvest, and then another 42 months to process the wine. 2 sets of 42. Now, this can all be found in Revelation chapter 11. Okay? Something else that you should know about these two witnesses. I will erase this board real quick so you'll have a little bit of room. We're still going to be on the two witnesses. Alright, so back to the 42 months, okay? We're going to be looking at the number 42. Now, within the Great Pyramid of Giza, the number 42 is directly in correlation with the sacred cubit dimension of 252, or 25.20 inches. 2520 degrees is a divine fractal, which is the 360 degrees times 7. The dimensions given aloud for the Great Pyramid are founded upon the value of 42. These include a Greek mile of 5,250 feet, or a stadia of 630 feet. Now, 630 times 2, 1260. Alright, so it's exactly 1/4 of 1260. Now, then it is also a short stadia of 525, a reed of 10.5 feet, and a Syrian royal cubit of 25.2 inches, or 25.20, which is 1260 times 2, 2520. Then you get the Celtic royal cubit of 21 inches, and you can find the number 21 in relation to Daniel 10:2. The 3 weeks equal to 21 days of Daniel 10:2. And then to get the 1260 exactly, you get the 12.6 Greek feet. Wait, Greek feet of 12.6 inches. So it's 12.6 inches in Greek feet. Roman feet of 11.666666. So are you seeing the connections to the numbers in the Bible? Now, there are other things I can mention, but I just wanted to mention this for now because it will help you come to an understanding of the two witnesses. It's directly related to measurements of the temple, otherwise known as Giza. Now, other things related to the two witnesses is they are called the two olive trees. Still going with the number 2. Alright, so 2 olive trees. I'm just going to short it with olive. And 2 candlesticks. Still going with number 2. See, the number 2 is important. Now, the olive tree can also be tied to Greek mythology and how it was a result of a contest between Athena, the goddess of wisdom, and Poseidon, the god of the sea, as to who would become the protector of, get this, a newly built city in what is known as Attica. The city would then be named after the god or goddess who gave the citizens the most precious, useful, and divine gift. With his trident, Poseidon struck a rock. Water rushed out of the rock, creating a spring of salty water, symbolizing his gift of sea power. Athena followed by striking a rock with her spear and produced the olive tree, an offering signifying fruitfulness and peace. So, if you remember, Moses struck a rock once and water flowed out, and the second time God had told Moses to speak to the rock, as in a tone of peace, but instead he struck the rock again, and this caused him to be banished from entering the promised land. So it's very significant of how Joshua ends up getting to enter the promised land, otherwise known as the second witness in his time. And the one who struck this contest was none other than Zeus. So there are other myths and legends about olive trees, but let's go to the candlestick, otherwise known as a holder with a socket or spike for a candle. Think like a spike, as in a spear that Athena used to strike the rock to produce the olive tree. Connections. A spike can also be seen as a nail, think nail-scarred hands, or an ear of corn or grain. Think Jesus was known as the first fruits. It can also be an adolescent male deer. As the deer panteth for the water, so my soul longeth after thee. Deer. Then there's the spike lavender. Think the purple robe that Jesus wore. The scarlet colored robe. The holder for a candle holder, a thing that holds. It can also mean one who is employed in the hold of a vessel. Another definition for a candle is the protruding, removable portion of a filter, particularly of a water filter. That's interesting. So a candle is the protruding, removable portion of a filter, particularly a water filter. So when they struck the rock, water came out the first time. The candle holder, the water holder. Okay, so this is all connected to the two olive trees and the candlestick holders. Then there's the socket, which also means a hollow into a bone which a part fits, such as an eye or another bone in the case of a joint. I'm trying to remember what the socket was to. Oh, it was related to a candlestick, where the first definition says a holder with a socket or spike for a candle. So that's what the socket was for, is a hollow into a bone which a part fits. So it's pretty much the same thing as what I said as far as the protruding, removable portion of a filter for a water filter. Except in this case, it's related to the hollow in a bone. Think of how Jacob had his hip bone removed by the angel. So in other words, this was the symbolism of one of the witnesses. Then there is a site about a hand of glory. A hand of glory is a dried and pickled hand of a man who has been hanged, often specified as being the left hand. Or if the man were hanged for murder, the hand that did the deed. This is your hand of glory. Old European beliefs attribute great powers to a hand of glory combined with a candle made from fat from the corpse of the same malefactor who died on the gallows. The candle so made, lighted, and placed as if in a candlestick in the hand of glory, would have rendered motionless all persons to whom it was presented. The process for preparing the hand and the candle are described in 18th century documents, with certain steps disputed due to difficulty in properly translating phrases from that era. The concept inspired short stories and poems in the 19th century. History of the term. Etymologist Walter Skiat reports that while folklore has long attributed mystical powers to a dead man's hand, the specific phrase hand of glory is in fact a folk etymology. It derives from the French main de gloire. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it. Main de gloire. It's spelled Gloire. Gloire. I don't know. Glore. A corruption of mandragore, which is to say mandrake. Think of the mandrakes that Jacob's wife Rachel asked for from Leah. So it is clinched by the statement in Cockane's Leechdoms that the mandrake shineth by night altogether like a lamp. Cockane in turn is quoting Pseudo Apuleius in a translation of a Saxon manuscript of his herbarium. I do have pictures that I could show with it, but basically I think you're getting what I'm going at here, and how the two witnesses are a repetition in the Bible. It's not a singularity. It's not one set of two witnesses. It's a rotation, a circular rotation, saying that prophecies are repetitious, not one-time thing. And you can find these as time-related prophecies that are actually attributed to the Giza Pyramid. The Giza Pyramid is actually a time-constructed pyramid. Everything about the Giza Pyramid was constructed with time as its measurements. And that is where I'm going to stop with this video. So I think we have some new information that you might not have known beforehand. And I hope that this information is eye-opening to the fact that not everything in the Bible, whenever it's talking about like witnesses or people, is actually about witnesses or people. It could actually be in relation to plants, animals, buildings being a witness, meaning like landmarks in time. So I just want you to think that there are hidden codes in everything you read. Folklore and fairy tales. Fairy tales were created by, many of them were created by etymologists who are pretty much dictionary writers who study word origins. If you don't look up the etymology of words to see what they were trying to describe back in ancient times, but instead you choose to look at what the word means in current day times, you're bound to be confused as to what you are reading. You are bound by your current knowledge, and you don't want to be bound and limited by things of today. If we can further our knowledge by learning from the past and how they did things, how they wrote things, whether what they wrote was to be taken as literal in the sense that they were talking in today's terminology, or literal as in they were talking in ancient terminology where the words of today should be scratched out, meaning that the words today and the words back then had different meanings, different definitions. When you read things in today's terminology, thinking that they are talking about something related using today's language, you can get yourself misled. For example, the name Moses. Who are we to say that that was an actual name of a person? Why can't it be an event? The name Moses actually has a definition which translates to mean the one who draws from the waters. And if you think about drawing from the water, there's many scripture about lapping up water, comparing man to beast and wild animals, comparing man to the flowers and grasses of the field. What if the Bible or any other religion are actually tied to, I guess you could say it's like a farmer's almanac and hunter's guide and some architectural blueprints. All of these within one writing. Well, technically, it's consistent of several different books. So, I just want you to think about that next time you read something and you don't understand it. Look it up. Don't just sit there and read it straight through without looking things up. Otherwise, you're going to think something means something that it doesn't. So, prepare yourself. Because you're going to have many people come up to you and ask you, what's this mean? Why does it say this? Why did they do that in the Bible? What if you're reading it wrong? And because if you don't understand, you probably are reading it wrong. So try a little harder. Thank you for listening.